Tonight, an investigation by Michigan's Attorney General has revealed the names of dozens of clergy members accused of sexual abuse in the Catholic Diocese of Grand Rapids. Good evening, I'm Seth Wells.
And I'm David Andrews. The report looks at all documented cases of possible abuse against both children and adults since 1950. News 10's Riley Connell here in studio now to tell us more. Riley?
Yeah, Seth and David, that's right. This is Attorney General Dana Nessel's fifth report on abuse within Catholic dioceses across the state of Michigan. Earlier today, she shared her team's key findings and expressed sympathy for the victims. The Diocese of Grand Rapids is also speaking out in support of the people affected and sending the message that it is pushing for change.
During the 75-year period in the report, more than 1,000 priests have served in the Diocese of Grand Rapids.
And based on the findings of Michigan Attorney General Dana Nessel, 51 of those priests were at one point accused of either sexual abuse or sexual misconduct. The Diocese of Grand Rapids serves church members in 79 parishes across 11 counties. In a new report, Nessel names the accused priests and shares the stories of more than 100 anonymous victims.
We must break down the walls of silence that so often surround sexual assault and abuse.
No one has been charged as a result of the investigation, but Nessel says it is important to hold churches accountable and encourage victims to come forward. Bishop David Walkowiak says the Diocese of Grand Rapids has made a lot of changes over the decades, including the hiring of a victim assistance coordinator and engaging in child safety audits. He adds they will continue to make positive changes.
While it is difficult for our church to face the harsh reality contained in this report, it provides a necessary opportunity for us to pledge to do better and move forward in the light of Christ.
While many Catholic dioceses have begun listing the names of accused clergy members on their respective websites, Bishop Walkowiak says the Diocese of Grand Rapids has not, presuming that priests who have died or have not been found guilty in a court of law are innocent until proven guilty. Back to you, David.
All right, Riley, thank you. Attorney General Dana Nessel says she is committed to investigating all 7 Catholic dioceses in the state of Michigan. She's expected to release reports on the Diocese of Saginaw and the Archdiocese of Detroit next year.